Hey, y'all, just want to take this time to let you know that this podcast is brought to you through the use of Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor before, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. For one, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your phone or from your computer. You can't ask for any better ease of access than that. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. There's nothing extra added to this. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Again, this has been the easiest thing that I've used. I've used other podcast apps before, but once I switched over to Anchor, everything has been easy, free, and again, they will distribute your podcast to any place that you normally listen to your podcast to before. So again, download the Anchor app. It's for free. You can either download it directly from the Google Play Store, the Apple Store, or you can go to anchor.fm to get started and create your own podcast. Again, just want to send a thank you out to Anchor, and thank you for listening. What's going on, y'all? This is Dorian back again with another episode of the Convos in the Park podcast. For our first-time listeners, I want to say thank you for joining us. And for our continued listeners, I want to say welcome back. Before we fully get into this episode, I just want to show my appreciation and love for those that shared last episode, Buried Alive, on social media. You don't know how much that truly means to me. And for those that shared their feedback and let me know how much the episode touched them, I can't thank you enough. That meant so much to me, and I truly do appreciate you. If you want to leave feedback or comments, you can find us at facebook.com/convosinthepark. You can find us on Instagram at convosinthepark. You can find us on Twitter at convosinthepark. That's D-A, not T-H-E. Someone apparently took that one before I can get to it. You can also find us on YouTube by searching for Convos in the Park. Now, with the YouTube page, we're currently at 50 subscribers. I'm not ashamed to be saying that. I would like to get to 100 so that way I can officially name the page and make it easier for people to find. So if you are a YouTube lover and you want to show your love and show your appreciation for what we're doing, again, just subscribe to the page. Again, you can find previous video content that I posted before, as well as every new episode of this podcast will be posted on YouTube as well. All right, with all the particulars out the way, let's go ahead and get into it. So with everything that's been going on, as far as George Floyd and the protesting and trying to find justice for the brother, we have to figure out what's next. We have to figure out what our next steps are, because now we're pretty much in our 8th day of protesting. And as a heads up, I am recording this on Blackout Tuesday. I refuse for my voice to be silenced. I feel like our voices have to be heard, our voices being the black voices. This is no time for us to stay silent or to remain calm during these times. We need to make sure that our voices are being understood and know that we will no longer be silent when it comes to dealing with injustice in any way, shape, or form. We need to make sure that anyone that has an outlet, a platform, expresses themselves. And I seen something that struck me very, very, very close. There was a post that I saw that said that any content creator, whether it be YouTube, TikTok, or wherever, and you're remaining silent because you're worried about having just positive vibes because you don't want your brand to fall off. Well, I agree with the last comment of that post where it said that your brand sucks. Your brand is trash. If you have a voice and you have thousands of people listening, or even millions in some cases, and you know that your voice can lead to people either changing or people having a real respect for what you say, then you should use that in the most positive way possible, more than just trying to use it for a brand to get some more money in. You need to help use that voice for change. And if you're not using that voice for change, then you don't need to be doing what you're doing in the first place. Because, yes, you can do some things for entertainment. But when it comes to matters like this, when it comes to the nation and it comes to a race of people being mistreated, then you should have every more right to stand up. And again, this is a free country. And if you so choose not to use your voice in that way, I can also not respect you at that point. I have the freedom to do so. But I strongly feel that if you have a platform in any way, shape, or form, whether it be a couple of people on Facebook, whether it be millions on YouTube or you just have thousands of followers on Instagram, you need to use your voice to help spread change and awareness for what's going on in this country. There's no more time to be sitting around. We need to be as active as we can, whether it be donating your dollars to a cause to either help get money for the protesters to get out on bail, whether it be to donate to help get lawyers for the protesters that are facing trials after being arrested, or whether you just donate to a cause that is helping to help stop police brutality. We need to be heard. We need to help shape that change that is going on in this country. The biggest thing that I see and the biggest thing that I feel that I can do as a podcaster and someone that aspires to be able to do stuff like this on a normal basis and not just work a 9 to 5 and do this on the side is shaping that voice. That's the only way that I can see things going on. And even for the black community, we need to find ways to have our dollar have more effect in this economy. And the only way that we can do that is pretty much getting back to the days of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm sorry. But that's the only way that I can see that we can help get some things moving. We need to make sure that our dollar has more say-so than buying a pair of Jordans or buying a Maybach, if we become rich, or we're buying all these chains and getting all these diamonds and everything else. We need to make sure that we are doing things for ourselves. We need to look at people that are black agricultural people, black farmers. We need to look into people that own their own businesses instead of, I actually heard a good point earlier where, people were saying that if we had 100 more Nipseys, where we're just giving back to our community, not just, doing the occasional things here and there, but actually buying back our communities. That is the strongest way that I think that we can help cause some change in this world, because then it makes it known that we are using our black dollars more consciously than just spending it a lot on, like I said, on gold and jewels and all this other stuff. There's nothing wrong with having some of that, having some of those things, and having some of those, things for having, the kind of money that you can afford it. But we also need to be making sure that we're putting our money in the right places. I think that is probably the biggest way that we can help cause change in what's going forward. The next thing that we need police reform majorly. These rules and laws that are in place are currently not working. They are for the benefit of the police and not for the benefit of the people, where it should be in the first place. We need to hold a lot more of these police chiefs and these commissioners accountable for the actions of their subordinates, their officers, because at the end of the day, it's all on leadership, and it's what the leadership allows to happen. And one of the things I saw on social media that kind of resonated with me was this equation: 10 bad cops plus 1,000 good cops equals 1,010 bad cops if they are not speaking up against those bad cops. As I stated on the previous episode, we need to make sure that or find a way to help these good cops try to turn in these bad cops. We need to make sure that, again, that these bad cops are no longer being allowed to dominate in the streets. They need to be held more accountable. And if they cannot be held accountable, then we need to make sure that the chiefs and the commissioners and those higher up are held accountable. And if they don't want to do it, then we need to find a way to get them out of there, because we need a drastic change. And keeping the same regimen that we have now is not doing us any favors. Now, that's not to say that we haven't seen good examples of the good cops standing out, because I have seen on social media where there was a police chief in Houston that was standing up against some of the rioters and some of the looters and people just out there causing anarchy amongst all the peaceful protesting, and as well as I think it was a police chief in Flint, Michigan, That's a totally different thing we need to talk about because, yeah, this, I don't understand how, even in this day and age, and as long as it's been, Flint, Michigan still does not have clean water to work with. But that's besides the point. But yeah, just that example of the police chief in Michigan standing with the people. I mean, we're always going to have good versus evil, but we need to make sure that we're doing the best to make to ensure that evil is not winning this battle. And from everything that's been going on the last couple of days, evil is winning, but at least that we are showing that we are no longer taking it. Now, the biggest thing that I did see, and I'm sure a lot of people have either seen it or read about it, and that is what our president plans on doing as far as militarizing more and quote unquote dominating in these cities that have rioters and looters and everything else. I mean, those are some pretty toxic words to be using when it comes to people in your America that you're so quote unquote supposed to be in charge of. Now, when you want to say dominate, that, I mean, that's almost on the side of, I would say, a dictator. And from the last I knew, I thought that America was supposed to be very democratic. But I mean, what else can you expect from, in my opinion, an egomaniac, where he feels like he has to be number one of everything? But I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on this. So please, 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 if you feel any way about this, please leave your comments on Facebook, leave your comments on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. If you listen to the podcast on Anchor, you can actually leave voice messages, and those voice messages I can actually add to the next podcast, so I can actually respond back to those. So I would love to try out that function. So again, if you're listening to the podcast and you have any feedback or you have any comments on anything that I've said from either previous podcasts or even from this episode, I would love to see those video messages on Anchor. Just wanted to put that out there. All right, the next topic I want to get into is in regards to music. Now, we know that hip hop has been the pretty much landmark for anything as far as music goes, and that's even global. It's pretty much almost the number one genre of music, and again, it is something that people love. People outside of the black community love our culture, love our music, but again, we got to be able to show that support. But also at the same token, we need to also hold our artists accountable. Now, again, I don't say this to knock anyone that loves certain forms of hip hop, but I was always brought up, I'm an 80s baby, so I was always brought up on the music having somewhat of a message. Yes, we had different ways, we had different methods where for every Public Enemy or every KRS-One, we had someone like Biz Markie, or even to some extent Hammer, making I guess you could say happy music, or even the Fresh Prince. But I think that the deepest way that hip hop has always had an effect is always with a message. Even from the modern contemporaries now, like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, Wale. Even artists from that most people don't even know about. Like I follow a guy out of Brooklyn named Sky Zoo, and his art is amazing. But some people I do want to show some mention to. If you're looking for other ways than just listening to the normal glorifying of drugs and misogyny, I do have some recommendations. One of the groups that I would highly recommend for anyone to listen to, especially if you're someone like me and kind of like what I like to call blue collar rap, is two brothers from North Carolina. And if anyone is a true hip hop fan, they should probably know who I'm talking about, and that's Little Brother. The music that I have listened to from them has gotten me through a lot in life. They first came out, I want to say this was around 2002 or 2003, and they dropped their first album called The Listening, and the music that they made kind of shifted the way that I kind of looked at hip hop. I mean, I had people like Mos Def and Tyler Kweli and Common and before them, but just the way that they brought, again, Common Man, ideas and topics as far as, having to rap and still work at a job or not being as popular as the mainstream rappers and having to, deal with normal day issues like working a 9 to 5 or coming home to a wife that doesn't understand that your pursuit of a rap career can lead to bigger things, but they're looking for the bigger money from it. And these brothers are just amazing. They've even released some music not too long ago, May the Lord Watch. And if you are a fan of hip hop and you are a fan of, I won't even say conscious music, but, some positive rap music, then I would highly recommend listening to these brothers. Here's the verse from a song called Sitting Alone. And it starts, my man's hit me up and said, tonight, dog, we celebrating. My son is going to college. I said, congratulations. He said, nah, you don't get it. It's 2 graduations. Him from high school and me from child support payments. So happy because his check no longer getting garnished. Then he texts me a flyer with these strippers on it, with 8 different color typefaces written on it. I'm thinking to myself, damn, yo, this is a warning. We get down thinking, damn, yo, this shit is boring. After 35, the club's a different kind of torment. Pretend to be excited watching bitches diddy bop when you would rather be at home watching Flipper Flop. I took a flick and then I posted on my IG, yeah, it looked good, but it was all lies like Firefest. Before you hang with anybody 25 or less, stay your ass at home and keep it low. That's what I suggest. If anyone 30 or older has not felt this kind of way, then I guess you're more adapted to the party life than I am. But the first time I heard this verse, I completely agree with it. And again, like I said, these brothers just speak to me. If anyone agrees, then I would highly recommend just take a listening to Little Brother. Now, also, I can't forget about the ladies. A recommendation for a hip hop artist that I love and have listened to for a very long time that does not get, I feel at least, get enough recognition is an artist named Rhapsody, another hip hop artist out of North Carolina, and she recently put out an album called Eve, where if you were looking for any signs or form of like a reinvention of Queen Latifah or MC Lyte with the women empowerment, she fits the bill. Her recent album Eve, again, it pretty much every song has a basis off of a strong black woman, whether it be Maya Angelou, Whoopi, Oprah, Afeni Shakur. I would definitely recommend listening to her. One last artist that I do want to bring up that I think does not get enough shine is an artist out of Chicago by the name of Add2. He put out an album called Pray for the Poor back in 2015, and he worked with Knife Wonder, same as Rhapsody and Lil Brother. All of them work with Knife Wonder. I guess you could say I got an affinity for Knife Wonder, but the kind of music that he puts out is very thought-provoking, and I would like to recite one of the verses from his song called Set It Off. All right, the verse starts, yo, hate to pop your balloon, but your favorite rapper's a coon. You hear the things that he spit? Well, really, if he kept it real, then really he like a snitch, right? Rappers that you praise and the ones that you put your faith in, I listen to their verses and it sound like an affidavit. I'll be losing my patience like doctors that can't save theirs. Came into this game, they complaining that I don't play fair. We be bringing rides to your hood like it was a state fair. Wait there, spitting all this dope, you swear there's weight there. You say you painting pictures, I'm looking at you with blank stares. You ain't killed nothing, your verses just learned to play dead. Pop, pop, lights out, bet they wild out. Put them in the hole, they can't climb out. Tell your coach, call a timeout. I'll be going dump, dump, dump like my mind out. I mean, that verse just stands out to me mainly on the first 4 bars where, I mean, pretty much he's pretty much saying everything that I've kind of felt about a lot of these rappers, and even some of your favorite rappers like Mos Def have said the same thing. Like, you got these guys that go around talking about, the drugs and everything else that they talk about, but, I mean, if you really think about it, their verses can be used as their own statement against themselves. And like he said, if they really kept it real, then really they like a snitch. So that's one of the reasons why I do like Add To, and he has a lot more content on his album than that. But that's just some stuff that I recommend outside of the normal stuff that we hear on the radio. And I'm definitely someone that loves underground hip hop, so I can probably go on and on about underground music, but that's just some samples I just wanted to give everyone, just to kind of break it up from all the I won't say monotonous, but all the heavy stuff that's been coming these last couple episodes. I just wanted to throw something different in there. So if there's any other recommendations that you would like to hear, or you think that you would like to hear from me, or even I kind of want to get into music reviews later on. So if you have any recommendations about any music that you would like to hear my input on, again, just definitely leave those in the comments. With that being said, I want to thank everyone for listening. And again, if you like the content that I'm putting out, make sure that you share it. And make sure that you listen to it on any place that you can listen to podcasts. Again, this is Dory from Convos in the Park podcast, signing off. And as I used to say with my YouTube stuff, are you in that convo yet? Why not? Peace.